Everything you know about work is about to break. This is not a story about robots moving boxes in a warehouse. This is a surgical strike on the one thing we thought was untouchable: human expertise. For generations, we were told a simple rule: learn a craft, master a skill, build a fortress of knowledge, and you will be safe. But today, that fortress is melting into code. Every hour of study, every year of practice, seemingly erased by a single algorithm. Software is quietly absorbing the roles that took humans decades to master. Right now, AI is drafting complex legal contracts that used to require a senior partner's eye. It is balancing financial records with a precision no accountant can match. It is diagnosing rare diseases in seconds and generating world-class artwork from a single sentence. For the first time in history, we are not just replacing physical labor. We are automating the human mind. If a machine can think faster, analyze deeper, and create more beautifully than you, then we have to face the most terrifying, non-obvious question of our time. In a world where intelligence is a commodity, what exactly is left for us to be? We are witnessing the death of the specialist. The expertise we spent lifetimes building is becoming a commodity. When intelligence is everywhere, it is worth nothing. And in the silence of that realization, a terrifying question emerges. Have we become obsolete? The anxiety is not just about losing a paycheck. It is about losing our place in the world. We feel small. We feel obsolete. But before we surrender to the idea that we are being replaced, we must look back. History has a strange way of repeating itself, and it has left us a map through this fog. History has a strange way of repeating itself, and it has left us a map through this fog. The year is 1839. The city is Paris. Inside the grand halls of the Academy of Science, a heavy silence hung in the air. The most distinguished scientists and artists of Europe had gathered to witness an invention that would change the world forever. Louis Daguerre stood before them and revealed a small, polished silver plate. On that plate was a miracle, a perfect, permanent image of a Parisian street. The camera had arrived. For the painters of that era, this was not a celebration. It was a funeral. Imagine the life of a professional artist in 1839. Their entire economic value, their social standing, their very identity was built on one thing: the ability to observe the world and replicate it by hand. They were the absolute keepers of visual truth. If you wanted to see the face of a king or the light of a distant landscape, you needed a specialist. Then, in a single afternoon, a wooden box made their existence seem entirely redundant. Many predicted the end of art. If a machine can capture reality perfectly in seconds, why spend weeks with a brush? But then, something remarkable happened. The camera didn't destroy art. It liberated it. By taking away the burden of replicating reality, it forced painters to find a new purpose. They stopped trying to paint what the eye sees and started painting what only the soul feels. Impressionism, surrealism, and abstract art were not born in spite of the camera. They were born because of it. The specialist died so that the artist could be born. History has a strange way of repeating itself, and it has left us a map through this fog. The wooden box of our time is AI. It is taking away the mechanical part of our intelligence, the data crunching, the pattern matching, the routine analysis. It is making our technical expertise redundant. But in doing so, it is giving us a gift. It is inviting us to reclaim our humanity. It is inviting us to be thinkers, dreamers, and philosophers once again. In a world governed by algorithms, your value is no longer found in how much you know, but in how much you care. It is found in the questions you ask, the ethics you uphold, and the empathy you share. AI can replicate the flawless beauty of a sunset, but it cannot feel the ache of inspiration that comes from watching it. It can calculate the probability of the future, but it cannot bear the moral weight of responsibility for it. When technology takes away our old meaning, it does not leave a void. It leaves a blank canvas. The silence of the modern office is not a signal of death. It is the quiet before a new creation. We are not at the end of our story. We are at the beginning of a chapter. We finally stop being machines and start being meaning makers. The tools have changed, but the core of the human journey remains the same. Don't fear the machine that thinks. Fear the human who stops feeling. This is our 1839. The only question left is, what will you choose to paint next?